the Rutgers quarterback race may already be over. Now, I know that sounds too strong. Training camp has just started or is just about to start, depending on when you're listening to this. But AJ Cerese and Dylan Lonergan are both competing, and Greg Schiano has not named a starter. But Schiano just gave us a timeline he normally does not give. He wants the decision made around the first scrimmage time, roughly practice 12. That's about when that is, if you're somebody who follows Rutgers practices closely. And if it is not settled then, he wants it settled almost immediately after that. That does not sound like a coach beginning from zero. It sounds like a guy who has a little bit of knowing where we're at and who the starter most likely is. It sounds like a coach who may already have a preferred answer in his mind and wants training camp just to confirm it. So on this episode of the Big Ten Huddle, I want to show you the 3 clues pointing towards Cerese. The one argument that could still flip that everything toward Lonergan, and why this decision is bigger than simply picking the most talented arm. So here's what's actually happening. Here's what's actually changed. That's kind of got us to this point. Schiano did not say Rutgers would let this competition drift until August, or deep into August or something. He did not say the staff might carry it into the opener. He put a target on the calendar, which we love. We love to hear that, and we love to know that because it lets us know something's going wrong if a decision hasn't been made. That matters because quarterback competitions usually stay vague when a coach truly has no idea about who is ahead. A public deadline creates pressure on both players, but it also tells us the staff believes the choice can be made quickly. You do not promise a faster answer unless you already know what evidence you need to see. And that brings us to the first clue of this whole thing. The biggest clue in Rutgers' quarterback battle is not a throw from spring practice. It is Greg Schiano's calendar that he's given us. Schiano wants the starter decided around the first training camp practice time, roughly practice 12, like I mentioned. This is usually specific for a coach who has often protected quarterback information. No, that does not prove that AJ Cerese has already won the job. That's not what I'm saying. But it strongly suggests Rutgers is not entering camp with a blank scoreboard. The staff may already have a leader and simply wants to see whether he protects the football, protects the job, runs the offense cleanly, and wants to avoid giving the job away. This may be less of an open audition and more of a final confirmation. The second clue is the offense itself. Ciarrocca's system is not difficult because the play names are impossible to memorize or anything like that. The challenge is what happens after the huddle is broken, once you get to the line of scrimmage, once you're surveying the defense and seeing what's out there. The quarterback has to process the coverage, understand the leverage, identify the pressure, and know where the football should go if the defense changes the picture before the snap. It is less than just studying one answer for a test and more like learning the decision tree and knowing, okay, there's going to be at least one question about this tree with 18 different answers. I got to know the whole thing. If the safety moves here, do this. If the linebacker comes up to the line of scrimmage, change that. If the coverage rotates late, the answer changes again. That is where Cerese owns the obvious advantage in this whole thing. He has spent 3 years inside the system. He has watched how Rutgers wants the position to be played. He has taken the classroom work, the practice repetitions, the corrections that come with living in the offense. Lonergan, yes, he brings experience. He brings something Cerese cannot manufacture, and that is the actual Power 4 starting experience at Boston College and things like that. He has seen live pressure when the scoreboard matters. He also brings accuracy, and that gives him a legitimate path to win the battle. But experience in football does not always transfer perfectly from one offense to another. If Lonergan is not picking things up as quickly as Cerese did, then you have a very difficult decision to make there. Knowing how to drive is valuable. It does not mean you immediately know how, every turn in a new city or even how to do a stick shift or something like that, right? And here's the open question we have to keep in mind. Does Rutgers need the quarterback with the higher ceiling, or do they need the quarterback with the lowest chance of breaking everything around him? We'll come back to that because it may decide everything for Rutgers. Rutgers may choose the quarterback with less college experience for one simple reason, and that's because Ciarrocca's offense rewards mastery more than highlight arm, highlight play, things like that. The quarterback is not just receiving a play and throwing to the first open receiver and gunning it, over the middle because that's where the read is supposed to go. He's operating a chain of decisions that changes with the coverage, the pressure, the defense's movement before the snap. Dylan Lonergan, yes, he has power four experience. He has accuracy. He has those things. He has reasons to be considered. Those are real advantages for him. But AJ Cerese has spent 3 years learning how the Rutgers wants every decision made. In a conference where one bad turnover can erase 3 good drives, the quarterback who keeps the offense on schedule may be the more valuable than the quarterback with the more impressive resume, because let's be honest, you got Antoine Raymond, you got KJ Duff, you have weapons around him. You don't need him to be the primary playmaker on the field for every play. The Big Ten piece is important to this too. Rutgers does not have the same weekly margin for error as most talented teams in the conference. It expects to play games in which 4 or 5 possessions decide the entire outcome. A third down mistake, a late interception, or one missed protection can be the difference between reaching a bowl game and spending December at home. That's why Schiano's repeated emphasis on protecting the football matters so much. This competition is not simply Cerese versus Lonergan. It is certainly, versus upside, right? It is system comfort versus game experience. It is the quarterback who may already know every answer versus the quarterback who may be capable of creating a better one when the play breaks down. And listen, neither choice is ridiculous. I don't think either choice here is a ridiculous option for Kirk Ciarrocca on the offense. If Lonergan clearly handles pressure better in camp, protects the ball, and proves he can run the full offense without hesitation, his starting experience gives him the powerful case. Rutgers did not bring him in to hold a clipboard and provide moral support from the get-go and say, you don't even have a chance at this competition. He has a chance here, but the burden may be different for the two players. Cerese may only need to prove that the staff's current belief is correct. Lonergan may need to prove that Rutgers should change its mind. There is also a major difference between choosing the starter and announcing the starter. Schiano could privately settle the competition after the first scrimmage and still keep the public waiting, right? Coaches love information advantages, even when the advantage is worth about half a cup of coffee against the opening opponent, right? But once the staff moves into a real game preparation, the offense needs a clear leader. They need somebody that everybody can turn to, say, this is the guy, he knows the offense, he knows exactly what we're doing next. The starter needs the majority of the meaningful repetition. The offensive line needs to hear his voice, hear one cadence. The receivers need to adjust to one quarterback's timing and when he gets the ball out to them for certain times. The entire operation becomes cleaner when everyone knows whose team it is. That is why dragging this battle deep into camp would be the worst outcome for this team, I believe. Not because both quarterbacks are bad and not because, you can't make a decision here, but because the uncertainty has a cost. Now, let us answer the question we left open earlier. Does Rutgers need the higher ceiling or the lower risk? For this team right now, I think the answer is the lower risk. I think that's what you need. I think you need the lower risk. Rutgers believes it has enough offensive talent to win games. It does not need the quarterback to become a weekly superhero. You have Antoine Raymond. You have KJ Duff. You have some experienced offensive linemen who have played, some good snaps for you. It needs him to distribute the ball, to stay ahead of the chains, avoid giveaways, and make the correct decisions when the defense changes after the snap, so that way you give your running back a good chance out there. That description sounds more like, the case of Cerese, in my opinion. So my prediction to win this quarterback battle is actually probably AJ Cerese. Now, does that mean it's for sure going to happen? No, we haven't started fall camp yet, but I think it's pretty likely that that's going to be the outcome, and the competition may already be his to lose. That is not because Dylan Lonergan lacks talent. Lonergan has accuracy, real starting experience. He can absolutely change the race with a strong camp. But Schiano wants a quick decision. Ciarrocca's offense demands years of detailed processing, knowing Rutgers cannot afford unnecessary turnovers in close Big Ten games. Every clue points toward the staff valuing the quarterback who already speaks the offense fluently. Cerese does not need to be spectacular in the first scrimmage. He may only need to look steady enough to confirm what the staff already believes. Now, I want to be careful here. This is a prediction built on Schiano's timeline. This is not a prediction based on, like, I've seen a whole bunch of camps and stuff like that, right? Rutgers' offensive philosophy and the different strengths in the two candidates. It's not a report that a decision has been made. That's not what I'm saying. This is purely a prediction. Camp still matters. Camp is still about to start. The scrimmage still matters, right? Lonergan still has a real opportunity. But when a coach gives you a deadline, study the deadline. When an offense takes years to master, study who has lived it. When a program expects close games, study which quarterback is most likely to protect the ball and make sure your best players have opportunities to go out there and win the game for you. Put those three things together, and this does not look like a perfectly even race entering camp. It looks like Cerese has the inside track. Lonergan has the chance to chase him down, like I said, and the first scrimmage is less likely to begin the competition than to be the one that ends it. Rutgers fan, though, let me know where you're at. Tell me where you land. Is that your prediction, too? You think it's going to be Lonergan? Do you want Cerese to be the commander? Do you think Lonergan's experience is invaluable and that's what it needs to do it? Subscribe to the Big Ten Huddle. Join us over here and drop your pick in the comments. We appreciate you being here.